here we are, Warrior Poet Project 11. Good thing I have Cory Allen here, the master karmic sound wizard, help us out, getting this thing going. Also, chat about everything happening in the world, in our lives, in all of our existences. How are you, Cory?
I'm good, man. Very, very good. I'm glad we got our little audio problem worked out.
Yes.
It seems like there's often the audio problems whenever I show up. You know what I mean? It's
So
like
you're like one of those people on the help desk on the computers. But do you solve problems also by coming in? Like someone could be having a problem and then your presence alone will fix
what often happens. Is that it's just this cosmic thing where, well, there's two different ways you can look at it. I'll let you decide which one is real. One is that the universe knows there's a signal that there's going to be audio problems, so you contact me to do a podcast, and so it's scheduled, so I'll be here when it happens, and we don't even know it's going to break. The other theory is that I actually make those problems happen, so I seem useful.
I don't know which theory it is.
I don't know, man.
I just don't see you as that devious type that would be creating such mayhem. I see you less as the Loki type and more as Thor, god of justice. Right on, man, right on. So it's been a minute since our last podcast on here. What have you been up to here, Cory?
Man, so it's a ton, all sorts of music stuff going down. Got two vinyl records coming out of my own material, so very excited about that. One is my 2010 album Pearls, which was really like kind of my breakthrough, album. And so that was put out on CD initially. So now 2 years later, we're releasing it on vinyl, and the same paper if you own the CD, which I hope that you do, and actually I hope that you don't, so then more people will need to come buy it.
Yes.
So
you don't want those sales already baked in the cake.
Exactly. So it had a really cool. I use this place Stumptown Printers in Portland to do the covers on the CD, which is an amazing print shop, one of the best in the country, and they do just like high art silk screening, really amazing. If you guys need some. I'm not affiliated with them other than using them. If you need some, they do amazing, amazing work. Anyway, so they're doing the vinyl cover too, and they got this really special paper that I've only seen them have, and so the vinyl cover,
like the paper they print money on. Really rare.
Oh no, this actually means something.
Well said, Cory.
Yeah.
Well said.
So, man, I've had 3 coffees and 2 alpha brains, man. It's going down.
You're fucking
it's
fired
going
up.
Down.
This is prime podcast.
Yeah, I
territory.
listen to Kendrick Lamar on the way over here. Everything's it's all over.
You're ready.
Anyway,
you're ready to roll.
So those are that's coming out, and then the first 100, it's going to be 500 on that one, edition of 500. The first 100, it's all black. It's like all the covers black. The insert, the inner sleeve is black, and then the first 100 are coming out, going to come on white vinyl. So it's going to be just real dope looking. It's going to be crazy.
Nice.
So that's being manufactured right now. And then another record, which is my new record I talked about last time on the podcast, called The Great Order, which is my first record I've done with it's all acoustic. So I have 5 people we recorded live in the studio: cello, double bass, bowed and struck vibraphone, bowed classical guitar, and piano, and recorded all that. Been waiting for like a year to get it to come out. It's finally coming out. We're putting it out on vinyl. It's going to be real sweet. Just approved the test pressings about an hour ago, and so that one is being sent to manufacture right now, and that's coming out on a milky clear vinyl. So
progress, sir.
It's so
what
hot.
is it? You hear a lot of people, and it sometimes just sounds snobby to some of us who aren't really in the know, so to speak. Like, oh, it sounds so much better on vinyl, bro. It sounds so much. So what is it? Why is it that vinyl has that different sound that some people really appreciate?
I think that there's a couple of different aspects to it. There's one is just like all of like my record label, Quiet Design, all of our releases, and in most of the releases in this genre of music, whatever you want to call it, experimental, just weird fringe shit. There's a very much a lot of attention to like the tactileness of the actual physical package, because obviously you can't deny that whatever vehicle you receive the music in is going to impact how you receive that music itself, and so it's always very important to me that the packaging is just as finely crafted and unique and well thought out as the music itself. And I think that that with vinyl, it's a similar type of thing in the sense that you get big artwork. You know, you have this big physical object that you kind of have to wrestle with, you know, and put it on there. You know, it's not just download it to your phone.
So it's part of the process.
I think that's part of the process. And then also on a technical level, the best way, I can't take credit for this, but the best way I heard it described is that in and this is going to get nerdy, so tune out for 20 seconds if you don't like. So, you know, whenever a digital file is like made of bits, you know, the sound wave itself is a bunch of little fragments of data that are all glued together, right? And so whenever you play that on a CD or MP3, whenever it plays back, it's, you know, your hard drive is assimilating all of these tiny little piece fragments to create the wave. And it's literally a wave, like a, you know, up and down oscillatory type thing. And so that the perception of those little fragments coming together, obviously on a micro level, actually, you know, is, even though it sounds smooth, it's still fragments. But what on vinyl, you have a needle in a groove, and that's a continuous motion. There's no reassembling of bits. It's actually cut into wax. You know, so you've got this needle gliding on wax, and that wave that's being created, the sound wave, is actually a stream. So it's the fragments versus a real analog stream.
Yeah,
and I think that I mean that's a technical way I've heard it described, and I think that interestingly, vinyl does sound warmer to me. It does have more, even though if you have like a $20,000 hi-fi vinyl playback system and you have the perfectly cleaned, manicured records, it's going to sound better, you know, because also the noise floor is different. The frequency range is arguably different, is broader.
And they can't capture that digitally. By the way, the fact that it's less technological and they developed it first, that they could create a little needle that could go circularly around wax and make sound, that doesn't seem any more or less difficult than just doing it all digitally. I mean, that's fucking crazy.
Well, they brought a laser into it. You know, they were like, "This is what," you know, with the CD, they were like, "Let's get a laser into this." But if you think about
that's also crazy.
Like
too,
Edison cylinders, you know, those like the first recordings were the Edison wax
so what was
cylinders.
That? They called it a phonograph, or what was this?
No. It was actually like a wax cylinder. So it was like a cylinder that got played with a needle, and then they, you know, made it flat for the record. I just did a gesture while I was talking to a microphone. A physical gesture. That's great. All you people can see that.
We got a little camera here for the select few watching live. They can see your pancaking gestures. Or you're turning a cylinder into, for those who can't imagine, they're turning a cylinder into a
vinyl
flat record.
So yeah, there's that. But then also, oddly, what I was kind of getting to is that there's like imperfections with vinyl, because like your records are dusty. Like, man, I just buy old jazz records and you know, old weird world music records and stuff, you know. And so those have always been sitting in someone's garage for 40 years, you know. And so they're all dusty and funky, and there's all sorts of, you know, spores and stuff, black mold and whatever.
I bet there's spores
no doubt, man.
from your records.
Dude, whenever I used to work in record stores, man, you could find some crazy stuff in like someone's records. They'd bring in like a bin of records to sell that they haven't checked on in like 30 years. You can find all sorts of weird little things in there.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
anyway, but then, you know, so you listen to them and you have like $100 turntable and you've got some just run-of-the-mill speakers. All the dust and the warpedness and all that, it gives you all the crackles and the imperfection. And then if you have like
the chicks dig that.
They do, this is true, like And if
like,
you have like
wow,
and if you're
like warm crackles,
dude. Well, okay, so that's a tangent which we need to come back to. But so also the actual rotation, the speed of the rotation of your turntable, if that's not right, then the pitch of the album will be like a few cents off.
I remember when I had an old one, I could alter it and make things sound real chipmunk style. And then
so totally, but if you think about the fact that the normal playing, like on 33, if the speed of the belt drive, if you have like a belt drive, isn't accurate, if it's running just like a tiny, tiny bit slower than 33, then it's actually going to be like the recording is going to be a few cents off. So it's going to be just almost imperceptibly pitched down or pitched up, but people just don't notice because they're not obsessive compulsive sound designers like me.
Like this, I smell something off. My ear can't hear it, and nor can anyone else's, but I sense it.
I feel it. Anyway, so records coming out. 2 records.
Excellent.
Check those back. We'll have pre-orders. They should be available late December, early January. And we should have some pre-orders up on the site, quietdesign.us, and my site, Cory, Cory-Allen.com. Probably going to have some pre-orders in mid-December. We'll start then. So you people can grab the white vinyls before they all disappear. There's only 100.
And the advantage, right? They can pay now and then not have to pay their credit card bill when the world ends in December 21st. Right?
That's
so
right.
just rack up that credit card bill now.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
You know, you may never have to pay.
I'm trying to
and
get...
you can listen to good music for the end. You can be like the fucking band on Titanic. And the shit's going around. You can be soothed by Quiet Design's Pearls album as it...
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, people tell me that they go to sleep to that record a lot. Or that, like, I've had friends that tell me they've been trapped in an airport for, like, in South America for, you know...
And it prevented
40
homicidal
hours.
urges?
Yeah.
That's good.
Put it on.
That's crucial.
So basically what I'm getting at is I highly recommend listening to my music. It's ridiculous.
Of course.
But yeah, no, it's good. So that's good, man. I'm really excited about that.
So what do you think about this whole shift here coming up here, Cory? This is now the cool term to call it. It's not the end of the world. It's called the shift.
It's the consciousness shift, bro.
The consciousness shift. Yeah. So what do you think about this whole thing that we're going through? There seems to be something to it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that I have felt like it's such a placebo effect, but I have felt like things have been tuned differently. Like, and I feel like they're increasingly weirder. Like, and it may just be me. I mean, I'm always getting increasingly weirder as a person, and so it might be that I'm just getting weirder, and so therefore my filter of which I perceive reality is like seems weirder. But I don't know. Like the gyroscope seems different.
It does.
It seems different.
It seems almost faster to a certain degree.
does.
Like things are happening quicker, which I guess
Yeah.
with the pace of technology and interconnectedness, it all kind of makes sense. A lot of things seem to be coinciding to make sense. But then, you know, some other things are like kind of in a cool way, very business as usual. Like I was reading some consumer figures, and Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you know, those sales figures were off the charts, especially for online. You know, I know On It did very well, and a lot of other different people. So it's not like, you know, I think there's this impression like everything's falling apart. But, you know, this was Thanksgiving, 1 month before this epic date, and people are still out buying their stuff at Best Buy, and still like it's very much life as usual in some aspects. And then in other aspects, it's like things are getting fishy. Things are moving fast, information spreading, weird stuff's happening. So I don't really know what to think of it. It's actually making me a little bit more optimistic than I was before, being that perhaps this transition could be a bit smoother than I thought.
Yeah.
You know, I still think it's going to get sticky. You know, like when you're on a fault line and something has to shift, right? The fault line sticks. And that's what creates the earthquake, because it comes in a jarring jolt where it's like stuck.
Because we keep sucking all the lubrication out of it.
Yeah, because it's stuck, and then it still wants to go. And then when it goes, there's mass chaos, destruction, everything, because it goes in a big leap. But I think at least I'm having hope that there could be some, you know, smaller, 5.0 earthquakes just kind of moving along the way, instead of a massive 9.0 fires, gas lines erupted, you know, people fucking total mayhem. But something's going to happen. But at least for me, I've been a little more optimistic that it could happen in a more conscious way, I guess.
I hope that the entire world has like 2.0 earthquakes.
Yeah.
All at the same time. So then everyone can just lay down on the earth and get like a gentle massage. If the entire world
Shiatsu earthquake.
Yeah, exactly. If the entire world population could all get a gentle massage at once, it'd be a lot better place, man.
I still want to try that. I know you've been listening to the Rogan podcast as well, and I just did a podcast with Dr. Dan Engel, and he was talking about those earthing mats as well.
Oh yeah, the Schumann resonance ones.
I'd still like to try that. Have you had any experience with that?
No. I mean, I'm hip to the Schumann resonance thing, you know, and anytime that the word silver weaved mat like gets thrown around, I start to get kind of like, I'm like,
Because you're a vampire, maybe, and
Well,
you're worried that they're going to throw it on you like in True Blood, and you're going to start melting and be very uncomfortable.
That is part of it,
that
for
part
sure.
of it?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But no, I don't know. I think that it makes sense. I think it makes sense. The idea that if the Earth has an electrical impulse,
Right.
and we are creatures of the Earth.
Right.
We are spawned from the Earth,
Yeah.
and if we get out of touch because
we evolved along with the Earth.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense that.
So if the rubber, if you've got rubber on your feet, you're indoors all the time. You're not touching that. Your connection, your electrical connection with the Earth is cut off, and therefore you get a voltage imbalance. And I think that there's certainly something to that. I mean, I don't know. I've never been camping before.
I've never been camping.
No,
you,
no. Dude, look how pale I am. Man. I sit in the studio all the time.
well, you need to get yourself everything, man. I need
do.
to too. When I was out in Sedona last week, which I want to talk to you more about, because I had some pretty powerful experiences. And I talked a little bit about it with Dr. Dan, but now that it's kind of sunk in, I want to talk about it. But I was trying to take my shoes off when I could and walk around. My feet just suck. I remember my feet used to be good. Like I used to be able to cruise around and do shit on my feet. I was just barefoot on the ground. But now I just don't ever do that ever unless I'm at the beach.
Yeah.
Even in grass, like I'm wearing shoes, I don't even take my, so I'm going to try and do that, get a little of the natural style, but I would like to try one of those mats.
Yeah. No, I think it totally makes sense. And, that's one of the things that that I think I mentioned this before, but the tricky thing about humans is that we evolved when we came out of the Earth, and the thing that we forget is that we're not tethered to it in any way, so it's easy to forget that we're a part of that. Like a tree or a plant or something is like unquestionably tethered, connected.
I had a really deep meditation the other day, and it really kind of let my mind go. And I was thinking about the old Mayan kings, I guess because Mayan calendar is all in my head. And I was thinking about how they kept building these massive structures in Egyptian kings and all of these things to try and go higher. And it's the same with a lot of alpha males in our society. They're trying to get the penthouse building, like as far away from the earth as possible.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, it's almost denying like where we came from. And there's like healing and medicine in the earth, but even from an early age, there's this desire, mostly male desire. In matriarchal cultures, you don't see these giant, monoliths where people are trying to get higher. They have huts on the ground, but in these patriarchal kind of alpha male dominant societies, you're pushing upward higher towards the sky, and there's energy from the sky as well, of course. But it's almost like you're shutting that valve off, like cutting off the feminine side of our own energies and the earth energy, and really trying to push ourselves up to the top.
Totally, and of course the buildings look like giant erections.
Yeah.
Of course. Got to get to the very tip. Yeah. That's where I'm going to stay, is the tip, man.
Yeah, exactly.
All those shaft people are losers.
Yeah. But I think and as they develop that's how you get more out of balance.
I think so. I think of office buildings, man. People, if you work in an office building, you work on the 30th floor. You're up in there all day. You're surrounded by concrete. You're in a bomb shelter. You're in a bomb shelter. It's like there's no and then you've got a bunch of computers and a bunch of electrical stuff plugged in, a bunch of fluorescent lights, and you're just like in this high power energy field of like dissonant energy. You're just trapped in there, and I think that it's funny you say that about the people trying to build higher. I was thinking about that same thing just like a couple of weeks ago. Is that it is a bit. I wonder if it's almost like you try and get the penthouse and move up, and people want to live in the tall buildings and work in the tall buildings and blah blah blah, and that achieving that type of thing. In the way that they're trying to achieve it is a bit of a hallucination or a hologram or something of their own ego. It's like
sure.
The more they can believe that that's meaningful and that is a symbolism of a successful life, then the more they'll be able to believe their own story about themselves.
Sure.
And
I think that plays a part in it too.
And the more you can get disconnected from nature, the easier that is.
because you can shut off those balancing
That's
element,
right.
that voice
That's
that's saying, "Hey, stupid, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
comes, and you get that message where you're in a hut drinking ayahuasca and
Yeah.
shitting your brains out, and fucking, Mother Nature is whispering shit
Yeah.
in your ear via pictures. You get a whole different story. So if you're going to be some greedy corporate, asshole, better get yourself pretty high away from those voices that come
Exactly.
from the moist earth of where we were born.
Yeah.
And let's get up there to the sky where the ego can roam unchecked. And I think, you think back to some of these old kings too. I mean, how do you develop these crazy human sacrifice and this other crazy nonsense that they
Yeah.
have? Well, you stop listening to the voices.
Yeah.
And, you stop sleeping in the hut with the medicine man and taking your walks through the jungle. You're just getting fed virgins and food and, sticking stingray spines through your dick and fucking whatever else crazy shit you're doing.
That was a tough weekend.
But, that's, I think, one of the things that gets people out of balance.
Yeah, totally, man. And what was I just gonna say?
I don't know, but I could kind of sense that too. I just got a new house, which is a real blessing, and I feel blessed about it. But I had a point where I had to check myself and say, hey, make sure that you don't get too caught up in building this into a fortress. You're just as happy sleeping in a hut on the ground as you are in this really nice house. And this house is my dream house, but still that. Don't get caught up in it. Basically, was the message that I got.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to kind of check that because it's exciting. It's like look at this grand thing that I can live in and own. It's mine.
Well, that gold statue that you have of yourself in the entryway is pretty awesome.
I'm enlarging it as you speak, actually.
You keep building onto it.
I increased the ceiling height just so I could sculpt it more, and I wanted stronger, more swords.
You
and
want
a dragon with a leash on it behind
where
me.
you can go climb up the leg and crawl into the crotch, and there's like a little napping area in there.
Yes, for a whole family, there's a napping area in there. Just like an own womb in each testicle.
That's something to aspire to, for sure.
Yeah.
I remember what I was going to say earlier is that like the CEO types that are so
Those
like,
fucking CEO types.
Those types.
Those silly, crazy bastards.
Oh, man, I hate those guys. Hate being in their offices talking on podcasts. But no, the evil, crooked. I mean, sorry, that's a stupid generalization. But the like out of touch people that are just trying to make a lot of money.
Monsanto.
Monsanto. I wonder what the suicide rate would be if you like instead of putting those guys in jail for all of their crimes, if you locked them in isolation tanks.
Yeah.
And so instead of like whenever the banks, all those people that should be going to jail, dude, you lock them in an isolation tank.
And pipe DMT smoke in at regular intervals, just in case they were trying to trick fuck themselves out of the truth.
Yeah, and you wait, like you lock them in there, lock the door, and then you wait like 12 hours before you start piping in the DMT. So they've already started to kind of lose their mind. And they're like, what is real? I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And then the DMT comes. And so then they're like, then they're really blown and their mind's really blown. And,
that would be very difficult. Yeah. And they are the ones who are most afraid. They're intrinsically afraid of things like psychedelics. Those types, the more out of balance someone is, the more terrified they are of it, because some part of them knows that there's going to be a reckoning on the other side when truth comes, and it's going to hurt.
Well, it's happening in real time. You know, it's like I refuse to believe that like whenever I'm in a situation or around people, or even like myself, where I feel like I'm not being 100% like who I should be, or if I'm getting caught up in something, like I'll feel this tugging like inside of me that I'm like, hey, you need to roll it back, buddy. Like you stop massaging your reality and get honest with yourself and stop on this little diversion. And I think that I mean, everyone I know is got that sense, and I can't believe that those people can't feel that.
They've just practiced shutting it out for so long.
For sure, but it's like I don't believe that it's like that whenever their head hits the pillow that they're, I don't know. I can't. Maybe it's just me.
I think you're underestimating the power of the mind to overcome these thoughts.
Self-delusion.
I mean,
maybe,
it's just.
Man.
I hear what you're saying. It's like, how could they not?
I think it's because
this?
I can't conceive of it, and
right?
So it seems impossible.
Right. But I have a really annoying and, petulant mind that tries to run the show all the fucking time. And that was one of the great things about that Iboga trip I did, is it really allowed me to see, okay, this is Mind, who I named Mind Boy.
Yeah.
and he's always trying to take charge. Like he's all, can I drive? Can I drive? Can I drive? And unless I have my true self there to check and say, hey, be quiet. We'll use you later at the office, occasionally when I need to figure out some quantifiable problem, then you'll be useful. But for right now, you're absolutely of no use. So shut up.
Yeah.
But until I could kind of really differentiate those, that was a big step. And also all the other work I've done as well. But I know what it's like to be just have that take over, and not that I was doing crazy, stupid things, but it's like you just don't hear the calling. Mm-hmm. And even now that I'm really in touch, like, for example, before this last big meditation that I did, I had good friends over, and they were leaving, doing a bunch of traveling, and they were like, it'd be really helpful if you could watch our cat for a little bit. And I was like, at this point, I've been super stressed and busy about stuff. So my mind's actually had to do a lot of work, and so I've been a little out of balance. So my initial reaction was like, oh no, I don't think that. And then I did that meditation and I was like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, is your house too important that you can't let a cat in there?
Yeah.
At the point that your house and the aesthetics of your house is too important for you to let one of your good friends' cats stay over, you're fucking on the wrong path. So I popped out of the room and I was like, yo, dude, I'm sorry, man. I'm fucking happy to take your cat.
Yeah.
But it was at the point that I was telling him, like, I don't know. I didn't hear that calling. Like I was it's a trivial matter, of course, but I think it can illustrate that there was no little voice inside me that said, this is weird that you're denying that.
Yeah.
And then I had to re-tap in and connect and be like, oh, snap, that was silly. Like, you're thinking about your house and you're thinking about things the wrong way. And I could just apply that to what these guys are going through.
Yeah,
they're just able to fully shut it off. But subconsciously, they know. Yeah. And that's why they're scared of psychedelics. That's why they're scared of isolation tanks, because they can sense something.
Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of what I was talking about. That's a better way to describe what I was talking about. It's like, there's just got to be, like, on a vibratory level,
no doubt,
they've got to feel that. And if anything, even if they can't, like, get that, push through the thick layer of
brain control.
I was going to say, like, packed dead infants that they've got packed in there. That they've sacrificed and absorbed their souls. If they can't get that subconscious thought through that, that firewall of dead infant souls into their brain, that
firewall of dead infant souls, impenetrable, better than McAfee.
way better. If they can't, they if anything, you can just see it in their bodies.
Yeah.
Like if
their body, exactly
look at
right.
They age so bad and so harshly and so poorly that, like, look, if you look at any president, man, like,
it's true.
Look at that first office day and the last office day. It's pretty hardcore,
That's
man.
True.
How much they age.
Yeah, because when the soul nourishes the body as well as the body nourishes the soul, people don't see that kind of bilateral connection.
Yeah.
It's everything helps support each other.
It's amazing.
Mind, body, and soul. Everything parlays into the whole thing. You remove that soul element, lock it away, and so it doesn't have access to your body and mind. You're gonna have fucking problems.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like,
emotional,
I know
physical, the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, it's all connected, obviously. And I mean, I know for me, like, in the last year, I'm so much healthier than I was the prior years, and it's just eating better, exercising, drinking less and stuff. And it's extraordinary what it does to your mind and your soul, it's really, really amazing. Like, and I can't imagine, like, the amount of baggage that some of those guys have and trying to drag that through, drag that weight around every day. That's why it makes them age. And, it's just.
Yep. And the antidote. So what is the antidote? Well, I can tell you, Cory Allen, what the antidote is, because I just did the antidote. One of the antidotes was at this retreat I did out at it's a place called, they're calling it Grace Grove now. It's going to be shortly the Optimum Performance Institute, because Grace Grove sounds like a religious camp. And it's not a religious camp at all.
Not yet.
Wait, they hooked me in. But anyway, so I went for a liver cleanse. And really, that was the main thing I went through, a liver gallbladder cleanse, where basically you show up, you drink green smoothies with a bit of protein and just all liquids, some blended soups, and really kind of cleanse your liver out. You take some supplements to kind of help flush your liver. And then the last day, you've been having no fats at all. The last day, they give you a bunch of olive oil, like 8 ounces of olive oil. And it causes your gallbladder to flush all the shit out of it and your liver to purge. And you get all these little cholesterol-y little nuggets that fire out of your ass. Yeah.
Whoa.
And you feel, and I left that place feeling just amazing physically.
Wow.
Like absolutely. Of course, I plowed right into Thanksgiving and just stuffed
for sure.
my face with gravy and champagne and beers and whatever.
Those little alien eggs back in your gut.
Hurry up, get back in there.
It was lonely in there.
So, but that helped a lot. Just the physical purging of that was pretty mind. Plus, it's in Sedona, Arizona, which is a beautiful place. But some of the other things we did as well were pretty remarkable. And one of the problems with all that I've talked about with psychedelics is that, while I've done, my share legally in different countries, it's an obstacle to go to Peru to do ayahuasca legally, right? So, I've been fortunate to have the resources and the connections to do that. Same with going to do iboga in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
But, the other options are, requiring people to break the law to a certain extent. And I agree the laws are unjust and whatever, but last thing anybody wants is the fucking feds coming in, busting down your door because you're trying to, shroom on some mushrooms and get in touch with your higher self.
Yeah.
And, obviously that's a whole other separate major problem, but I think I found one really cool way. Isolation tanks is one, a great way to have a powerful, psychedelic experience
really
without
expensive.
actually any psychedelics. Also very expensive as well. I found the free way.
Okay.
The free way. Like Freeway Ricky Ross. But it doesn't cost anything. So it's called shamanic breathing. Have you ever had any experience with that?
Sure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was probably not going to work.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, come on, I'd take ayahuasca, I'd take iboga. Like, what, you can tell me to breathe? Like whatever.
That's hilarious to be cocky about liberating psychedelics.
It's like, whatever, bring this shit. I'll fucking breathe in your face. I'll breathe in your face, son. Obviously, I wasn't quite that cocky. I'm elaborating, but I was like, it's probably going to be really mild, like really not work that well. So we get the thing started and we get this, the kind of shaman teacher leading the experience is like, breathe like you want to attack your life. Like, how are you going to live your life? And like, breathe. And so like really kind of firing us up, Tony Robbins style. I was like, all right, whatever. And the breathing, in hard through the... And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna fucking give it hell, whatever. I'm fully in. I wasn't like holding anything back. I was not 95. I was 100% in. They have some drums playing, some music, and I'm in there with like 4 different people, and I'm starting to go. And as I go, I'm getting what they call tetany, which is where your like muscles lock up and you get like tingly and frozen. So as I'm breathing, and they mentioned that this might happen, but I'm getting into this like full paralysis where I can't
You're being
move.
reborn, man.
Yeah, I was
You're
like
going back into embryo phase.
And I was like, God, this is gonna suck. I'm gonna do this for an hour, just like locked.
I'm serious, dude. That's rebirth. You're like, that's like, you're going back into embryo fetus.
It felt like it, man. It was, and nothing was going on in my head. I was like, I'm paralyzing myself. This is lame. I hope there's something else that happens. But then, like 15 minutes in, I just kept going, and then, she kind of came around. She said one silly trigger, like something about, what is the man I want to be, or something about being a warrior. I forget exactly the trigger, but she said a trigger, and then I kept breathing, and that kind of gestated, and all of a sudden, like boom, like my brain lit up, and it wasn't like a super visual vision like you get on ayahuasca or some of that stuff, but it was visual for sure. And I actually saw like my true self, my soul, as a silhouette on this like backdrop, like fucking perfect. I was like, holy shit, that is my soul. That's my true self. And it was just a silhouette. And then I was like, I kept looking at it in my mind's eye. My eyes are closed. I kept looking at it. And then all of a sudden it filled in, and I saw my own face in that soul. Like, this is your iteration. Like, first it showed me, hey, this is your soul. And it's like, boom, here you are as part of that soul. And just the look, I was looking right at myself as my soul, and I just fucking lost it, dude. I was like, holy shit. Holy shit. Like, this is me embodied as my soul. Not me, the person, which is a combination of mind boy and mud body and a whole package all put together, but really looking as my soul, as my iteration. And one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had, you know, psychedelic or otherwise, was just to be able to cut right through to that point and be like, this is who I'm aspiring to be, my purest essence of myself, you know, what will exist when everything else is gone. And to actually physically see that with my eyes was an immensely, immensely powerful experience. And then from the rest of that, I had that kind of lucidity of a post ayahuasca or post iboga, you know, where you have that, or post, you know, psilocybin, where you have those 2 hours or so where you're just thinking like a laser, just perfectly clearly, like your heart is aligned. And from breathing. Yeah,
man. It's just that's just awareness.
Yeah.
You know, like that type of breathing, like I've done that very same thing, like a lot of different ways and a lot of different approaches, like over the last, you know, decade or so. And it's just it's like an elevator of awareness, you know. And there's all sorts of little interesting methods you can do. I mean, you can do them just without like the Fight Club's style, like drum circle and like army, you know, breathing army sergeant there. You know?
Right.
Even alone in your apartment or your house, you know, right now, there's so many ways you can do it. You know, one is like, it shouldn't particularly be a practice, but it's a good reset and experiment, is to do an alteration of the pranayama dragon breath, and then what you're talking about, shamanic breathing. So you do 10 breaths like you're talking about, long deep breaths, and then you do 10 fast pranayama fire breath. Yeah. And the way that you do the fire breath is that, imagine you're like trying to make your throat shaped like you're going to fog up a piece of glass, like, so you do that. You know, so I hope someone tuned in right at that moment. So,
make your throat nice and hollow.
This podcast has changed. Anyway, so you do 10 deep, long breaths and then 10 fast, short pranayama breaths, and you do that 10 times. So it's 20 cycles. And don't do that in the car, because
you're super dizzy.
It's crazy.
I had to take a piss during it, and I was like really fucking super dizzy.
Yeah.
We also did these breath holds periodically throughout, and you'd be shocked how long you can hold your breath when you've been doing those kind of hyperoxygenation practices. I actually talked to the world record holding free diving female who came in here, and we were talking about some stuff for On It, and I know that's part of the process. She actually put so much, before she set the world record, she put so much oxygen into her blood that she passed out right when she's on the sled.
Wow.
About to go down. She's like, this is a bad start. This is not good. But anyway, so we did these breath holds kind of to equalize, I guess, a little bit of the oxygen that was going through. So, and that was cool too. And just the quiet of holding your breath at that point, and just, it's very, very much like an isolation tank thing.
Yeah.
I will say it's good to do, you know, probably either you can do it by yourself, but I think you'd be more comfortable giving it hell if there's someone kind of in the ceremony with you, kind of handling the music, and
your personality,
who've been there doing it. But
if you're one of those people that, if you're in the gym and you're like on the treadmill or you're lifting weights, and then someone else comes in and you kick it up a notch, if you're one of those guys, then
of course.
Not me, self-disciplinary.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
But no, yeah, for sure. If you're, I think I've always, maybe it's just me, but I've wondered about like people that do meditative breathing and stuff, and doing like even meditation in groups. Are people more like?
I wouldn't recommend necessarily meditation. I guess this was for me. I don't know. I guess it was more not having to fuck with the music or any distractions or worry that, you know, hey, if like someone can take care of something if you needed to get up, because
if your eyeballs explode.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're like dizzy and locked up. It's a kind of a vulnerable, at least for me, it was a vulnerable position. So even when it was almost more vulnerable than doing like a psychedelic, like mushrooms, for example. You know, I mean, obviously iboga's different, super vulnerable there. But mushrooms, you know, you can kind of turn it off and navigate, and you know, God forbid I had to fight, I'd probably fight like a Viking or something, you know, like the berserker.
Rip their face. You rip your opponent's face off.
But you have that confidence that, yeah, exactly. That adrenaline would kick in and you'd be all right. But it was kind of nice just to not have to worry about anything. Oh, totally. Like everything was like, I can just go in my own head. Nothing's going to distract me. There's no cat that's going to come in and, you know,
your friend's cat.
Start nibbling.
Why did I keep my friend's cat? I hate this.
Start like nibbling on my face and I can't move. And it turns into a horror movie.
Yeah, I was just saying that, like, I don't know if people are like more if they're comfortable enough being that open, like in a social level, because some people find things like that like weird and kind of squirrely and stuff. And so what I was talking about was like, if you try those things alone, you're not worried about being judged.
That's
or
true,
something.
and that's important.
Yeah,
because sometimes you got to let the tears roll out, and if you're going to be shy about that shit with who you're with, it's going to crush your experience.
I just do that every morning, looking in the mirror. That's all. Stare, eye contact,
staring at such great beauty. I can't help but shed a tear.
No, it's staring at myself in the eyes and being like, how does this work? How am I existing right now? This doesn't make any sense. I have this fleshy meat vehicle.
Yeah.
How am I having these thoughts? You look in your own eyes, look at your own eye in the mirror for a while and think about like.
Well, that's that whole soul gazing thing too, right? Have you ever done that with anybody?
I've done it. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. And I've done it with myself in the mirror too. Yeah. And it really works. It really, really works.
What happens to me, you can share your own experiences, but what happens to me is I start seeing different, almost people or visions come through in my own, like my eyes lock in, but then my head changes, morphs into something like an alien head or some weird stuff happens. And if I have a good connection with somebody, I can do it with them too. And I'll see weird iterations.
Totally. Burroughs used to do that all the time. William Burroughs, he would do that in the mirror. He'd take heroin and stuff and then go look in the mirror with Brian Geisen for hours, but he would talk about getting his like psychic hallucinations through the mirror and stuff. You know,
I believe it.
I think he was getting them all the time, but and we love him for it. But I would definitely doing that with somebody who are in the mirror is like it's pretty crazy, especially if you do it with someone and they're not aware that you're doing it.
That's how I learned about it. Yeah. So check this out. I was in high school and I was dating this chick and she was cool, but for whatever reason, I was not feeling it. You know, like ostensibly on paper, she had all the credentials, homecoming queen, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I'm not feeling it somehow. And so I went to break up with her and I was in my room and I was like, look, this isn't going to work out. You know, I'm sorry. You're great. And I have no good explanation for you. Yeah. And she was mad. She had like a lot reaction. Of,
I mean, anger.
Weird, right? Yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, so she starts looking at me, right? And she starts looking me in the eye. I had nothing else to say. And I wasn't going to be like, okay, so get out now. You know, I was like, you know, you can leave when you want. It's not like I don't like you. It's just we're not going to be together. She starts looking me right in the eye. And all of a sudden the air, you know how when the air starts to get thick and wavy and the background starts to get white. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then so I looked away and then I looked back because I started to get curious. I was like 16, 17 at the time. And I was looking and it started getting more and more. And she's just beaming into me. I don't think she didn't know what she was doing either, but she knew somehow if she kept looking into my eyes, something was going to happen.
It was a killer instinct.
Yeah, it was. So, and then all of a sudden I started seeing her as like an old woman, a skull, an infant. And I was like tearing, not crying, but like tearing up in like this weird, I don't know what the hell's going on. And then I swear to you, man, I felt like my spirit was trying to leave my body. Like I was like, ugh. And finally I had to bail on her. I was like, yo, okay, enough, stop. What the hell was that? She's like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, we're going to get back together now.
Oh, really?
So like we got back together just simply because it was such a crazy, weird experience that kind of bonded us. It only lasted another few weeks. And then I made sure to break up her by phone.
Smart choice. You wear sunglasses and you get at the doctors whenever you get your eyes dilated.
Yeah.
Hey, we need to break up.
Yeah. But it was the craziest experience. But ever since then, it's been a great gift because I've been able to do that with people.
Yeah.
Maybe not as powerfully as her. She had like a lot of psychic crazy shit in her family, seeing ghosts and premonitions and all kinds of. She had like a burglary, total premonition. Was telling her family that someone was going to break into her house, and it's like someone's going to break in tonight. And go to sleep. You know, don't worry, we're safe here. Fucking 2 a.m. window crash. Someone comes in, like weird shit like that in her past. So she was somehow connected.
It was one of her ex-boyfriends.
Yeah.
She was like, I think someone's going to break in.
Yeah.
It's always, man, life is just a jigsaw puzzle, man. You just got to put the pieces together.
Yeah. Well, either way, whether she's a liar or a connected, and somehow she was able to Jedi mind fuck me for sure. But it was a Jedi mind fuck gift because, you know, it taught me that you can do some crazy shit like that.
Yeah, and on a lighter level of that, you know, like I find that a lot of times don't make eye contact whenever I'm talking because it's almost it can be too much. Like, because I feel like that, like whenever I lock into something, the sensation is almost too much. It's like, you know, someone giving you a wet willy of like your heart mind or something where it's just like, whoa, I got to look away and like relax and then take another dose because I get so much, you know. But I think that gazing like that is great because just on a lighter level, if you just sit with somebody and just like get over the silly, it's silly. Okay. It's silly.
There'll be a lot of laughter.
Yeah, it's just there'll be a
lot of laughter first.
It's good.
Yeah, sure.
But if you just sit and just stare at somebody's eyes for like,
and you relax your throat.
Yeah, you relax your throat. And you act like you're trying to fog up a piece of glass. Yeah. So no, but if you just look into somebody's eyes and you know, somebody that, like, you can do that without them being, you know, like, you take it seriously, but
yeah,
you know, take it sincerely.
Your girlfriend or boyfriend. Yeah. That's,
and it's a good practice to just be able to get comfortable with like looking into people's eyes on a level of like, okay, like there's that extra energy there when you're looking at somebody in the eyes.
Yeah.
And you just get okay with that and get comfortable with it. You know, it's a good practice.
And you notice it with like shifty, shady people. They will not look you in the eye. They're like they because they're afraid that you're going to see something.
Yeah, that is the strangest thing, isn't just being able to see somebody's like spirit and intention and all of that in somebody's eyes. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
I generally make a habit of really looking in people's eyes, like just right off the bat.
But you don't want to be this guy. Yeah,
I know, with a total smile on my face, like everything, you know, the genuine smile, and initially, but when I first meet him, just within that first 3 seconds of eye contact, especially another male, that's like, I think you get a big read. You know, if they're a straight up kind of genuine guy, you know, it's like, okay, cool, you can move on. You can move on from there.
Size
like
up the buck.
The soul, well, and it's like, is the soul rotten and corrupt? Because if it is, you're going to see the stink coming out of their eyes.
Dude, totally. You know, okay, so, what was your reading whenever we first met?
I don't even remember, but it was must have been good. Yeah, I don't know. I did that at the front door when you showed up at the house. Okay, you may enter. Yeah, that wasn't a hard one. It wasn't complicated. But I was, you know, go back to the Iboga ceremony, and for those of you who don't know, I keep referencing Iboga is a very powerful psychedelic from Gabon in Africa. It lasts about 24 to 36 hours. Bwiti tribe, yeah, the Bwiti. Okay. Bwiti shamans have inculcated that medicine for a long time. But part of their pre-initiation process and initiation process is you do a full Iboga trip looking in the mirror the whole time. While dressed in fucking crazy shit, they like paint your face.
Yeah. I read that in your hair. Pinchbeck book, The Breaking Open the Head. Yeah, it was an interesting little take.
I didn't read that at all.
Pretty cool.
But did they talk about looking in the mirror?
No, they didn't do that. No.
So that's the initiation ceremony, and I guess, you know, blasted. First of all, Iboga is going to tell you exactly everything that's right and wrong with yourself to begin with.
In that
but
movie
then to
voice.
Combine that, in the movie voice. Then to combine that with staring at yourself in the mirror, I think you really have to come to terms with who you are to a great degree.
Yeah.
I think that's valuable. What do you think about, I kind of feel like there's, and I've read some stuff about it, but I don't know if it's just wonky or if it's just, what do you think about each eye having some different quality to it?
What do you mean by quality?
Like one eye is supposed to be more connected to the physical world and one eye is supposed to be more connected to your spirit. And so, like, you see a lot of people with one eye that's like kind of almost shut and one eye that's open. It's because they're kind of hiding one part, or they're not like,
okay.
I don't know what I think about it at all, but I've read in some of the yoga books, like blah, blah, blah. This eye is for this and this eye is for that. Could be all hogwash nonsense, fairies, dust, magic powder.
I think there's a couple. I have a couple of thoughts on that.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I think that eyes are tissue cells, but I think that's pretty much the base of it.
Word.
But I think that the suggestion that the posturing of your eyes does speak a bit about what's going on inside. I think the actual eye itself, I don't think it's like your left
Yeah,
and
sure.
your eye,
No, but it's how you close it or how you...
Yeah, so the posture, the way you posture your eyes, I think has very much to do with, there's an internal, it's basically just this open, like sunroof interior internal,
workings.
Mechanisms, yeah, for sure. And
yeah.
Well, that's interesting because I went to the obviously I wear glasses, and the optometrist that the last time I went, he said that he saw a fiber of like the color of the iris actually goes from one side all the way through one of my pupils and into the other side.
That's weird.
Yeah, he said that said that an optometrist will see that maybe.
Does that make you a cyclops?
I don't know. He said he'll see that once in a career sometimes. Like it's that rare. And I'm not saying like, I got this special. I'm just saying it's weird.
Did you get on the optometrist trading cards? Did you like Cory Allen's rookie card? It's like super valuable.
Yeah, you want to look at this guy's eye. It's
free glasses forever.
Yeah,
you get something like that.
No, I got those little glasses in case I want to break up with somebody. Little dilation glasses. But no, man, that's kind of a weird thing. Just speaking about eyes, so I need to go read some yogi books and see what they say about that.
Yeah, check that out. I need to read them too because I always forget which eye is which. I'm like, that. No, I don't know. I always forget, but I'll kind of check that out. See if it makes any sense. We'll meditate on it.
Yeah.
Because I notice I do feel a difference in my eyes. Like if I'm trying to like soften my thing and be more like, respectful or whatever, I'll kind of do some different things with my eyes subconsciously that I've tried to start paying attention to.
Totally.
Or if I'm trying to be like really project, like the way I posture my eyes and both operate like a little differently. So
yeah, think about that's what my friend Mike and I we call the bicep brow. The bicep, so your bicep, man, your brow area turns into a bicep. That's the eagle gaze, man.
Like Val Kilmer from Tombstone.
Yeah, before he, as Rogan says, went off to grow his head.
What was that?
I used to talk a few times about how like Val Kilmer's head has gotten fatter over the years. Or something.
Yeah,
and he said something rather about him going to some ranch in the Midwest and just taking Oxycontins and growing his head.
That's hilarious.
So tell me, like, I had some people like ask me about the specifics of the liver cleanse that you did.
Okay,
and I was like, well, I'm going to see Aubrey like in a week or whatever. So I'll ask him. So the green smoothies and all that shit is that all like itemized somewhere where someone could follow that?
Yeah, there's I
gotta
get that organized. They have their particular protocol. There's quite a few protocols that you involve. One of the key protocols is denying yourself the fats and then giving an indulgence of fats to really trigger that release of bile, because bile is what breaks down fat. So and that's stored in your gallbladder. So I think that's a big part of it. It's also some supplements that you take to kind of loosen and flush everything up. But I'll put that whole protocol up on Warrior Poet, maybe even on it too. I've just been so busy since I got back. I haven't got a chance to do it. But really, man, I felt good. I got back on Sunday, and I came back that Monday. I was mentioning this to you. I had one of my best days ever feeling. Like I was just in the zone, and for the whole day, just felt immaculate. I mean, the way I was thinking about things, my energy, my happiness, and it was a stressful day. I mean, I was pretty much away from communication for 6 days, and I come right back into the office, and it was just one of my favorite days of all time. Because it just, your body is clean and your mind is clean.
Yeah.
So not only we did that breathing ceremony, we did some other guided meditations. We had some really sharp people talking about conscious relationships and basically, like we were saying, bringing your honesty level to 100% with those people. Yeah, with those people who are around you. And that doesn't mean that you're going to be rude or, that you have to express it all the time and be like, yeah, your fucking haircut looks
Well,
ridiculous, you know.
That's not the point.
But that's not the point. But the point is to be really genuinely honest with how you feel, and also have, you know, leave your heart space, you know, that kind of love you have for humanity open for everyone, including your enemies, your friends, whoever, and just have that kind of conscious relationship, so you're not holding anything behind walls or a dam. Or anything.
And you breathe. You know, speaking of breathing, like one of the things I've been kind of hip to the last year or two has been breathing through your heart. You know, if you breathe in, I know it sounds funny, but just think about it. And you don't have to take it, you know, seriously. Just take it sincerely. You know, and when you breathe in, imagine air coming in through your chest, through your wu wei, you know, your heart mind, you know, and just imagine that. And when you breathe out the same place, and it's amazing what it can do, you know, for you, your connectedness and how you feel. And like, I know that during my meditation, whenever I breathe in through that place, I literally am like, I feel like all of the area like around me, I'm breathing in, it's getting sucked into there. Like all of time and space is getting sucked in to that area. And then when I breathe out, this is another shamanic breathing thing. You breathe in, pull everything around you in like this space-time continuum into your heart space. And then whenever you breathe out, picture fire coming out of your chest.
Or light.
But yeah, just the Sufi heart awakening, you know, is you breathe out fire through your chest. And it's a pretty amazing sensation. I recommend it if you're in meditation.
I believe it. You know, so that was a huge thing too. And also there was another, this wasn't from the retreat, but tangentially I had another person talk to me about some Hawaiian spiritual practices where you kind of can release any energy you have in relationships, and it tied in super well with a lot of the stuff we were talking about there. Releasing energy that you've held bound with different people and different situations. And you say these 4 things to that person. And when you can say these 4 things and really mean them, then you can release whatever other bullshit you have. So any kind of ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, you know, someone who screwed you, someone who benefited you, you say, and the order can be in any way. You say, I love you, I'm sorry, thank you, I forgive you. And you say those 4 things. And when you can really, you know, say and mean all of those things at the same time, the energy just dissipates, just goes away. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. You know, because really, even the people who've done the most fucked up stuff to you, you know, it's not their true self, their soul that did that fucked up. That was their mind and their ego, you know, running their body and causing them to do that. Somewhere, their true self and soul is cringing and being like, oh, shit, I can't believe this idiot did that.
Yeah.
You know, but still loving that person, like, this is part of the process. They're making these mistakes. But so you can have love for someone who's really wronged you, but love for that infinite part of them. You know, you don't have to love the physical manifestation or even leave that person around or not. You know, you can protect yourself vigorously from that person's physical incarnation, but still have love for that person's soul and that person's true self, which is, I firmly believe, intrinsically good.
Sure, yeah,
You know?
totally. And I was talking about this with a friend of mine recently, is that, you know, firstly, we are all one, you know, like all of our bodies, you know, in the human experience, like we're all the same creature, we're all connected, you know, we're all the same thing, you know, and if you are, you know, judgmental of people that are a different place of you, or don't keep in mind that notion of the true self, then not only do you do them a disservice, but you're doing one to yourself too, you know, because if you know, if you're judging someone's their actions instead of, you know, what you know that they are inside or what they can be, then, you know, you've cheapened your own abilities within yourself too, you know, and I think that
True. And it also plays into self-love too. I mean,
sure,
that's truly loving ourselves is one of the hardest things we can do.
And totally. And in internet culture, you know, everything is so removed now, of course, and everything is so detached that people have a really one of the negative symptoms of being a human being is that people are always trying to edge themselves ahead of other people. They're always trying to find ways to like judge other people to make themselves a little bit better or like feel a little bit better than that person, you know, through way of judgment. And the internet, of course,
See
makes
reality TV.
yeah,
Jersey Shore. Yeah.
or any YouTube comments on
Sure.
on a
Well,
video.
those get really fucking
They do. They
cunty
get so
and
dark.
nasty.
Yeah, for sure. And so, that doesn't. I've read some reports too of like that. Psychiatrists say that doesn't stop after you. If you, and it's easily observable. Like if you're acting like doing a practice, which is that online, and then you go out back into the world, then obviously that practice is burned into your synapses.
It's at least going to be going through your head, even
Yeah.
if you don't vocalize it.
So here's the thing. This is to get to my point about what I was talking about with my friends, that he was saying that he just moved from Philly to Boulder, and he's, this intelligent, uptight East Coast guy that moves to Boulder, and he was talking about how he gets so frustrated with people, even though they're nice and they're liberal types, he's still just, he's like, everything I can say, anything devolves into some annoying
Right.
Liberal rant or something, which is of course just as annoying as a right-wing rant. And one of the things I was talking about with him was like, look, you've got to, everyone you interact with, if you feel like, and this is just important in this day of judgmental, very base internet type of reality that we have, is that if you meet somebody that you think is that you find yourself placing judgment on, you think, that person's fat, or that person's stupid, or that person's closed-minded, or they're really, really asleep, like they don't have any awareness, or they're not inspired, any of those things you can judge someone. The important thing is if you have that initial reading, it's a critical thing to go, like, just instead of judging that person, just be with that person in that place. And when you interact with them, like if it's, let's say it's someone you work with that you don't like, not say you don't like them, that you just think they're, lazy and stupid and annoying,
right,
or whatever, it doesn't do any good to sit around brooding and disliking them. It doesn't do anyone good. What you should do is be there with that person in that moment. And when you talk to them, just be a person and be there with them and interact with them as a human being on their level. And like, if you have those judgments kicking around in your head, whatever, but don't discount somebody just because your perception of them in that moment of space and time happens to be a negative one.
Yeah, I think there's I had a similar, that was a direct vision that I had in my last ayahuasca, that the eagle, that's what the eagle told me. It said basically, you got to really see through people's eyes. There's all those cliches, walk a mile in my shoes.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything to us anymore. It's like, oh, whatever,
Yeah.
But actually try and put your body and mind and soul behind that person's eyes. What are they thinking? What are the insecurities? What is the lack of self-love that they're dealing with that's causing them to act like this? And at that point you can have true compassion for someone instead of judgment.
Totally. And that's what it's all getting to is like, that's just like loving somebody like you could love yourself or love a loved one is if you can act like that with everyone you meet, then you are doing such a great service to yourself and to the human species that, it will make impacts and it will help those people, like it's understandable that we all have problems. I have problems. You have problems, but if you can be present in mind enough and compassionate and loving enough with somebody that, you may previously have passed judgment on, then you're really going to help them. You're really, really going to help them, because a lot of people I think are unhappy or discontent simply because they just don't have anyone that is there for them like that, and
that's true. And I keep hammering this, but this was one of the biggest insights that I had, that, even my own happiness and I have, I'm good self-esteem, I would say, but there's some true kind of unconditional self-love level that I hadn't really reached. And this is not like adoring yourself, like, like saying, "Oh, I'm so great," and puffery and flattery. This is deeper. This is like conditional, unconditional self-love for yourself. And it actually came to me in a vision that I had. They were leading me in this guided meditation through my grandmother. And I was like, "What would your grandmother say to you?" And this was after a long kind of meditation that put me in a really open kind of psychedelic type of state through a guided meditation. And I could really hear her voice. And this is the grandmother that I have tattooed on my arm. I don't know, probably camera's probably no good here. But she was a huge part of my life. And what she said at that point was, I tried to tell her, Grandma, I'm going to make you so proud. I'm going to make you so proud. And like, as if for her to really be proud of me, I had to achieve more. And which was a reflection of myself. I was feeling for myself, for me to be truly proud of myself, I had to achieve more.
Yeah.
I had to do more. I had to be greater. And she just, in my mind's eye, smiled and laughed and said, I'm already so proud of you.
Yeah.
And that's how we should feel about ourselves, regardless of where we're at. We should already be so proud of ourselves and love ourselves so much, even if we have a huge way to go, even if we're fucking addicted to smack and making the first step out, coming back and becoming a different person. Be proud of yourself now.
Yeah.
Love yourself for who you are now. And your life journey may grow, but keep that as a constant. Keep that as a backbone. Keep that as a furnace that's going to keep you warm and drive you forth through those long, cold walks through the scary woods. You know what I mean?
For sure. I mean, every day, that's something I always remember, and I try, like, whenever I talk to people about this type of thing, and part time is like, every day is like it's a new slate, it's a new thing, man. And you can, life is all about decision making. You wake up and, if you were in a bad place and you were not who you wanted to be even the day before, like, your eyes open, man. It's a new day, and you start making better decisions.
Tell the thing to yourself: I forgive you.
Yeah.
I love you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Literally, tell that to yourself today. For everything that's happened, and really mean it, and then start fresh.
Yeah, and we're all fallible. Like, I make stupid choices all the time.
Of course, my history is rifled with
yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. But the thing is that, like, as long as you keep moving forward and you keep remembering, like, I can get better. Like, I want to be the best person I can be. I want to be the most loving, most aware, patient, intelligent, like, compassionate person I can be. And just keep chipping away at that every day a little bit. And, big things, big projects, and, big music projects or whatever, or like working on it, those things don't happen overnight, and neither will this. Like, no great result comes overnight. But what it is you aim your feet in that direction, and you start walking. You take little steps every day, a little bit every day. And before you know it, you look back and a year's gone by. And if you've done one thing a day to try and raise your awareness, better yourself, do something nice for somebody, be patient, just listen to somebody while they're talking to you instead of waiting for your turn to talk. If you do something like that every day, you turn around in a year and you've done 365 things. You know what I mean? And it's just snowballs, man.
You're a long way on your journey.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And so, every day is new, and you can just keep, if you want to, if you want to achieve a real state of I think that the goal in this would be, like, whenever I die, when my physical body settles down, and dies, before that happens, if I'm aware of it, I want to be able to release myself into that state, fully knowing that I did everything I could do to, like, love and be as kind and as caring for everybody and for myself as I possibly could.
Amen to that. It's like Cyrano de Bergerac said before he went, his white plume was unstained, his honor, his integrity. Yeah, he made lots of mistakes, tons. But, his honor, his integrity, the way he carried his heart, was unsullied at the end. And even it doesn't mean you weren't making mistakes. It just, whenever whenever you had the chance, you set that as your goal. And if you do that, you'll pass through. Yeah. And you'll go with a smile. And you'll go back to the source, wherever that is, and look back on a life well lived. Yeah. It's like, as long as you tried, as long as you tried, man. That's it. All right, Cory Allen, this has been another powerful experience. Yeah, no doubt. I certainly appreciate it. I will send a few shout outs before we wrap it up. Obviously, thanks to On It. Makes a lot of things possible. ONNIT.com if you haven't checked it out yet. And I was going to tell you, man, I meant to mention this, is that I just realized today when I was heading over here that I started taking Alpha Brain for the first time last December.
I was like, dang, this is like the
That 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, I almost looked at my email to see like the date I ordered it, but then I was like, that's ridiculous. But it's just December. I remember it's like December because I remember for Christmas I was like fresh on it, and I was like breaking down the Korean, Chinese, Russian like military infrastructures in my head, like how's this all going to play out? And burning the computer chips,
Right
man.
on.
But anyway, yeah, it's great, and it's really and I'm not like involved and on it in a business way in any sense. I have to say that like those products, I hate even calling it products, those like tools that on it sells, I mean, they really have improved my life.
That's
over
awesome,
the last
man.
year.
That's awesome.
I've
I've improved mine.
they really have.
I've improved mine and many other people we talk to, and that's what it's all about. We're just going to keep pushing, sift through the bullshit, find the good stuff, and make it available as best we can. So that's the goal. So thanks to On It. Thanks also to our friends across the pond at London Real, londonreal.tv. Give them a listen if you get a chance. They got some great guests and some cool conversations. And of course, thanks to you, sir, Cory Allen. It's been a pleasure. You're our first 3-time guest.
I gotta keep syncopated, man, so I can keep being the first, fourth time, sixth
I think
time.
I think you're going to start outpacing everybody else there pretty soon. So it's been a real pleasure, and check you out at Quiet Design on Twitter.
That's right.
And check out that new album we started this podcast talking about. It's good stuff. I listened to one of your private tracks actually for my own meditations. It's been great.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to getting the full collection as well. You're gonna have to hook me up with that when you get it.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. You're gonna get you a record player, man.
Hell yeah.
You're gonna be able to rock both those vinyls. Yeah, pre-order is probably mid-December.
Excellent.
So just
just in time for Christmas.
Just in time for Christmas. So go to quietdesign.us or cory-allen.com and then say what's up on the Twitter, as we said.
Make it happen, people. Much love, and we'll catch up with you next week. Adios.